Chapter 6, Lipids Screencast 3. Now, this is a relatively short screencast, and it's just going to be focusing on the digestion and absorption of lipid. Now, this process actually will begin in the mouth, similar to what happened with starch. There is something known as lingual lipase, and lingual lipase is the enzyme that's responsible for breaking down fat at the very beginning. Now, unsurprisingly, this enzyme is very active during infancy, and that should make sense if you're looking at breast milk, milk fat, etc. as being the primary source of nutrition. It's going to begin there in the mouth. Very minor role in adults. Now, it will continue in the stomach, and there is an enzyme in the stomach, gastric lipase, but the majority of digestion and absorption of lipid is going to take place in the small intestine. So the fat in small intestine is going to release this hormone, cholecystokinin, and this is actually going to cause the release of bile from the gallbladder and lipase and colipase from the pancreas. Now here we can basically walk down the pathway. Now bile is really important. We introduced that previously as an emulsifier. And what bile is going to do is going to break fat down into micelles. And what this does, it actually increases the surface area of lipids, and it allows the pancreatic lipase to break down triglycerides to free fatty acids and monoglycerides. So let's walk the path down a little bit. So we're going to see it begin within the mouth. And as I said before, there is a little bit of lipase, and not a lot of fat is going to be digested in this particular manner. Also, there may be a little bit of digestion in the stomach from gastric lipase, but once again, not a lot going on here. Now, the liver is going to produce bile, and this is stored and released by the gallbladder, and this goes into the common bile duct, which empties into the small intestine. And as noted, bile is responsible for actually emulsifying fat. Now, in the small intestine, fat is going to be digested and absorbed in the duodenum and jejunum. So those are the first two components of the small intestine, while bile is reabsorbed in the ileum. The large intestine, less than 5% of fat passes through the large intestine and is excreted. Now, this particular diagram here is focusing on the absorption. Now, absorption, once again, is occurring primarily in the small intestine, and the term that you're going to see pretty regularly is the brush border. Now, the carbon chain length of the fatty acid is actually going to determine which system fatty acids are absorbed by. Now, the cardiovascular system is capable of utilizing these energy, and short chain and medium chain fatty acids are going to be absorbed into the cardiovascular system via the portal vein and work their way to the liver. The lymphatic system is going to absorb primarily long chain fatty acids, and those are going to be reesterified into triglycerides. So we can kind of take a look at this process here. So we have the large fat droplet, and we can actually see that it's emulsified and then broken down. And here we are in the brush border. Short and medium chain fatty acids are going to be absorbed via the portal vein, and they're going to work their way to the liver. If we look at monoglycerides and long-chain fatty acids, they're going to be reconverted back into triglycerides, and we can see that process. And we'll be talking about chylomicrons a little bit later, okay? And so a lot of fat absorption, especially those long-chain fatty acids, are being actually going through the lymphatic system.